This is Kate from Izzalicious Designs, and today I'm going to show you how to make a Wonder Woman headband. This is actually going to be our base headband, and we're going to do a lot of tutorials showing you different ways that you can actually change up the front and make them look like princess crowns and the like. So let's get started. Double banding, it takes an enormous amount of bands because of the double banding. I used an entire packet of yellow plus about another 100 for the Wonder Woman one, and then I had the few for the red. So we're going to be starting, and normally we would start at the top, but there's no point in starting at the top because we need to move up to make the point for our headband. So I know that I'm going to do 5 columns, so I'm going to count here. I'm going to put my finger through 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and I'm going to put 2 here, all right, and then I'm going to place 2 across here and 2 across here. These will go to the next column when we get there, but obviously we're not there yet. Then we double band, and this is the only part of the loom that we're going to use until we start doing that center piece that goes up into the triangle. Lay your bands first. Now I'm not going to do every single column with you. The tutorial would be about 100 hours long, so I'm going to get you started, and we'll do a couple of columns together to show you, especially if you're new and haven't done the move it forward technique before, how to do the move it forward technique, and then you're going to do the 20 columns or 30, and then once we get to the 20th or 30th, however many you decide, you can restart me and I'll show you how we move into the triangular part of our headband. Once you've laid the bands for the 3, you're going to take 2. Now again, as I said, I used 1 and it worked out quite nicely. If one breaks, yeah, it's a lot of hard work. So you can use 2 or you can just use 1. I'll use 1, but it's up to you. Just place it on this peg here, like so. Then you're going to place another one here. Now it is important that you go from the right to the left, okay, and then put another one here. You can use clear bands as your crossover bands, or you can use the colour that you're using. But if you're doing, for example, like a mural, and you can, this is a baby kind of mural, you can do a pattern, or you can write words in this if you wanted to. So depending on that, you might want to choose a clear band to have as your crossover. You're going to place your crossover over these 3 pegs and these 3, and the thing to remember about these crossovers is that they only go between 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so when we have that next column here, you stretch it across to number 4, and for this we're going over 4 columns at a time. Okay, so I had somebody saying to me theirs was very, very tight. Well, I think it might have been because they weren't changing to use new crossover bands. Right, once we get to here, get your hook, take a single band, wrap it once and twice, and we pop that on the end here as an end cap. We're going to dig down and we're going to find that top single band and move it to the right, and do that again, move that to the right. Okay, then dig down and find the 2 bottom yellow bands, and we're moving these up and up and up and up. Don't worry about this one moving across just yet. We're going to dig down here and loop up the second column. Now, once we've looped up the second column, we're going to dig down and find those 2 bottom yellow bands and loop them to the side like that. Okay, now it's safe to take this off our loom and push everything down. It's vitally important that you push everything down. Now we've done that, what we're going to do is turn our loom over and using your base removal tool, push under the base plate and move it forward like that. That's why it's called the move it forward technique. And the other side, and you're just moving the top and the bottom. You're leaving the middle one holding all three. Okay, then you're going to take this column off and move it forward. As I said, this takes a long time. If you have multiple looms, by all means add them all together into the biggest one you've got and lay all your bands out and do it that way. It works. But if you've got one loom, this is how we do it. So another 2 here, and then pick up, because these are going to be your lead to column number 5, and you need to keep an eye on, count how many columns you're doing. Drag these ones across. We're going to pull our bands over our pegs. Like so. As I said, we're double banding all the way to the bottom. Take another single one, place it on there like that, and then take this one and loop it in like that. You're going to drag your crossover bands. Now, as I said, this is number 4. Alright, I do jot it down. I find it easier if I've jotted it down, because then I can say, okay, I've now done another 4 and I need to change crossover bands. So I would just do 1, 2, 3, 4 like that on a little notepad. Once I've pulled the crossover bands over, dig down, find that top single and loop it to the side. Then you can loop up the middle. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 5. Once you've looped the top of that, dig down, make sure you pass all the other bands and find those 2 bottom yellow bands and loop them across. Now, as you can see, it looks like it's sort of caught here. Dig your hook down and run it around the outside of the peg and it frees it up. I'm going to take this off the loom. Make sure you keep that pushed down. Okay, and we pull this off. It's very, very important that you keep that second column in its spot. Okay, so that was number 5. I'll do one more with you. Turn your loom over, use your base plate removal tool. This time we take the big base plate and we budge it forward. Push everything down on your loom, then take this empty column and move that forward to become column number 5. So then cross that off, that's number 5. Okay, let's get our 2 bands, place them there as the lead. We'll take these 2 bands that we have sitting here doing nothing and pop them on our peg. We're going to double band. Now, because we have already stretched our crossover band over 4 pegs, we're going to swap them for new ones, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Take a single, place that there to go across to number 6 when you're ready. Grab this one and pop that there. So to do new crossover bands, you're going to take a single, clear, and you just place it on the middle peg, which already has a crossover band on it, to the 3rd peg, the peg on the right. Okay, so the middle peg now looks like it's got 2 crossover bands on it. It's got the crossover band that it did have, and it's got the new crossover peg. And so you're now going between 1 and 2 here. Alright, but you're going to change it when you get to 4 again, so you're on 5. It won't matter if you go to 5, it won't matter if you go to 6. Any further than that is going to start stretching. I would try and keep them all uniform, so if you start with 4, keep to 4. Otherwise you're going to sort of get gaps in between it and it's going to look a bit uneven. I think it looks better if it's all even. Okay, so we're going to dig down, grab that bottom single, loop it to the right, and then you loop up the middle column. Make sure you're pushing back both of those crossover bands with your hook. You've got 2 of them to push back now. If you think, oh my gosh, I've suddenly forgotten what column I'm on, what am I on? Have a look down here and you can count. Okay, so you've got 1 here, you've got 2 here, 3, 4 and 5. So that one is now ready to come off the loom. Like that. Okay, and we move these mini base plates forward this time. I'm going to pause the video and I will catch you back when we're at number 20 or 30, whichever you decide to restart me at. Okay. So I'm back again. I decided, seeing as I couldn't decide whether I would finish at 20 or 30, I'd finish at 25. So I'm at 24. This is column 24. Hopefully you are at the same sort of spot as me, or you've done however many you decided to do. We're going to move our big base plate forward 1 so that it has that ability to have the extra column. Move your column forward like so, and you have to make sure always that they are always in the standard configuration. Now I'm going to put my 2 bands to go forward. I'll pick up these 2 and place them on here, and as I said, we're double banding. Let's lay our bands. Oops. I've been keeping track of my crossovers. I'm going to put my extra 1 here, drag my extra 1 from there across, and I have 1 more column to drag these crossover bands on before I start needing to use new ones. So I'll do that. I'm going to dig down, find that single band, loop it across. I'm then going to grab these bands, the bottom 2 yellow, and loop up. Once I'm here, dig down, grab these 2 bottom yellow and loop to the side. Now what we're going to do is take this column off, and we're now going to do column 26. Turn your base, your loom, over. Move your base plates forward so that you have the extra here and the extra here. We're going to take this empty column off our loom, place it in front, and this is now going to be column number 26. Now we would normally put our 2 here, but what we're going to do is graduate up. Okay, so we're going to put our 2 lead bands 1 peg higher on the next column, and then we're going to grab those 2 that were the lead bands and stretch up like that. Okay, and then we will lay our bands, and we're going to do this on all of the next columns until we reach the very top, and then we will do them all on the next column until we come back down to this point again. You're still putting your extra 1 here, you're still moving this one over. We need new crossover bands, so I've got my clear bands here, and you're going to place them across the 2 columns, which is these 2 pegs, the middle peg and the right hand side peg. This time, however, you need to put one on this peg at the top and bring it across to here. Okay, so this is number 26. I've just jotted that down on my little note here. So let's dig down, grab that top, that top single band and loop it across. And we loop up as normal, pushing back the 2 crossover bands, exposing those 2 bottom yellow bands. Dig down, grab those 2 and loop them to the right and push everything down. I'm going to take this off our loom. Alright, let's turn our loom over. And take our column off. As I said, if you have multiple looms, go for it. Lay this all out and do it in one big fair swoop. That's great. But some people just have the one. Now, again, see how we started here this time? Let's start one up with our 2 lead bands there. Grab these 2 and drag them up. We're going to lay our bands. Now, as we're laying our bands, one of the things to bear in mind is where you want your, if you're not doing Wonder Woman, if you're doing a princess crown, let me lay the bands so that I can show you what I'm yabbering on about. Place your one here, get that, drag it across. We've got our new crossover bands, so we drag these across. Now, we're going to put a crossover band between here and here as well, okay? And I'm going to dig down and find that top band here, loop it across, loop up, loop up. Now, with the Wonder Woman, it's just a plain headband that we add the star to after the fact, okay? Dig down here, grab those 2 and drag them all the way up there. Let's take this off. Turn your loom over. Budge your base plates forward. Budge your column of pegs forward and get another 2 ready. I'm going to go 1 up from this one so they sit here. Okay. Grab these 2 and they go all the way up there. This is column 28. A single one here, drag that across. Now, how many, if you forget, you can see that you've done 1, 2, 3, so this drags across to 4. And that's only on 3 and we need to add 1 here. It's always a good idea just to look at what you're on for your crossover. Dig down, grab the band and loop it to the right. And loop that one up, push everything down. Okay, see how we're moving up? Let's move this base plate again. And our column of pegs. Get our next lead too. We started here, so this time we'll start one above up here. Grab those two that were the lead and stretch them up. And lay our yellow bands. Put our extra one here to go across, drag this one forward like that. Now do you remember how many we were on? We had one, I can see the end of it here. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We need new ones. So those first 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, they're all going to be the same. They can have a new one. If we look here at this one here, I'm pretty sure you're going to find that it's only gone from 1, 2, 3, so it goes across to 4. This has only gone from 2, so it goes to 3. Now put one across to here, like that. Dig down, grab the bottom, loop it to the right. Now you have 2 sets of crossover bands to dig down past here. Dig down and stretch up. Let's turn our bases over, our loom over, move our bases. Move our pegs and get our next 2. So we've started here. We're going to put our 2 lead ones there, grab our old leads, lift them up and lay our bands. Our single here, drag across, drag our crossover bands over. Now how many have we got here? It's gone from 1, 2, 3, 4. We need a new one, so let's take that one back and put a new one. This can go across, this can go across. We need a new one here. Stretch that up, push everything down before you take this off the loom. There we go. Now I'm going to turn my loom over, grab this base plate and move it forward and then the pegs. At this stage I'm going to pause because my phone will probably run out of space, and I'm going to take a quick break, free up some space on my phone, and get back with you in 1 second. Okay, so now we need to get another 2, and they go one above this one to here, and stretch these up, and then we lay our bands. To put a lead one here, and then stretch that one across. Now for the crossover bands we're going to count how many we are at. So this was 1, 2 and 3. You can see, because see how they join up here, that's where it starts. So it was 1, 2, 3, drag it across to 4. Now you know those first 5, you can do that quite easily, you don't have to worry. If we look here, you can see where there's two crossover bands, 1 and 2, so you know this was the first peg that it went on, so it's on 1 and 2, it's now across to 3. This one is now on 4. If this one is 3, this one is on 1, 2, 3, 4, so you need a new one here, and this one will now be on 1, 2, 3, drag it across. This one's on 2, you need one here, like that, and we will loop things up. Dig down, grab those 2 and loop those up to the top here. Push everything down, and we're going to take this column off our loom. As you might have noticed, I'm not writing this down anymore because I did my 25 here. I know that this is going to be 14, and then I'll start counting for my next 25. My crossover bands, my base plates get moved across. And I take this column of pegs off and move them forward. Now we're going to put 2 bands. This is the peg that we have, so we put them up here because they're going to stretch down. Grab those 2 that were the lead and drag those up. Let's lay our bands. Oops. Have another one here for our lead, and drag that one across. Now, what are we at here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need new crossover bands. One, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then we count here. So again, we got this started 1, 2, 3. We can drag it 4. That means this will be, and let's look for where it's got 2. There's 2 here. 1, 2, 3. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need a new one here. This one, look for where it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll have a new one there, and we'll drag that one across and drag this one. It's always a bit difficult to count it, but all you have to do is spread this apart and just see where you have the 2 bands on at the same time, okay? And you can count where you're at, and if you know that you're only going across 4 pegs, it's easy enough to work out whether you need a new crossover band or not. And if you don't want to count and you're just copying me, there you go, you'll be right. She'll be right, mate. So drag these 2 up to here, push everything down. Okay, so you can see that we've got that shape happening here. Big base plate, move it across, and pegs, move forward. Your 2 lead are going now, because we've met the top part, they're going to be 1 down, okay? So instead of being up here, they're going 1 down, and we work our way down the loom this time. Put a single one here as our lead, drag this one across. Oops, get over there, you know, jumping overboard. There we go. So, did we have a new one here? I think we did. Yes, I can see there's 2. So, drag it. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's see where we're at here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We need a new one here, which means this one will probably be at 3. So I can see 1, 2, 3. So let's drag that one across. That's 4. This is 1, 2, 3. This one is probably a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need a new one here. And this one is at 1, 2, 3, 4. This one will just get stretched to there. Alright, loop up this little one here, and then we loop up the center column. Loop up to the top here, drag this up to there, and push down. Okay, base plates. And the column of pegs. So as you can see now, we're moving our way down. So we put our 2 lead, 1 down from here, and lay our bands. Do a lead, drag across, have a look at where we're at for these. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. This is a new one, so we just drag it across. I believe this one needs a new one. 1, 2, 3, 4, so we need a new one here, which means this will be at 3. 1, 2, 3, so drag that to 4. This is going to be 1, 2, 3. This one is, let's see where we're at, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just going to drag it because it's got nowhere else to go. Alright, and before we drag it, what we should do is grab these 2 and pop them on top. No, I'm telling you fibs. That's amusing. What have I done here? That goes first, and no, that goes there, that goes there, and that goes there. Goodness gracious, I'm going backwards now. This one gets stretched down to here. Sorry about that. Alright, so we're going to drag that one across. Alright, there we go. My excuse is it's 11:45 at night, so I'm tired. Dig down, grab the 2 and loop them down like that. Okay, take this off. And you must be careful, especially on the downward turn, that you don't lose these in the middle. Okay, base plate, the big one. Move it forward, move the pegs forward. Let's get this right, shall we? Grab these lead ones and we're going to grab two new lead ones first, put them on the peg under. There we go. Grab these lead ones, pop them on top. And this one goes as the lead for the next. Drag that across. Let's count. What number are we on here? I think it's only, not many. Have we got 2 on here? There we are. There's our 2 here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We need new bands. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we count, because these are the 5 that make up this band here. Then we count here. So we've got 1, 2, 3. It can come across 1 for 4. We've got 1, 2, 3. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So it does need to come across, because we're going to have this one going out to here, but it's only going to go over 3. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put it like that. Okay, this one, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one goes nowhere. There's nowhere for it to go. Okay. And that is my cat telling us off that it's bedtime and he expects us to be upstairs. Yeah? Is it bedtime? He puts himself to bed about 10 o'clock, and then if we haven't made it up there, he stomps down really aggro at us. He's 19 years old and he gives us what for? Drag these 2, and it's tricky because usually you want to go up, so I tend to drag them up and then bring them back down to the peg that I need them on. There's my geriatric cat. Okay, turn over mini base plates. Move the pegs forward. Okay, so we're on this one, so we put these 1 down and then grab those and drag them down to here. Oh, that's nice, some bug in my bag of Rainbow Loom bands. Thankfully it's dead. One here is my lead. Pop that across. So we know we just put these on, so we can drag them 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it needs a new one. So there. This one then is at 3. This one we just put on, so it's 1, 2, and 3. We don't do anything with that one. To here, you're going to dig down, you're going to find those the 2 bottom bands. Top, what am I talking about? Pull them up, I pull them up like that, and then I bring them down to this peg. Just makes it easier. Take this off the loom. Well, I know, I'll be there shortly. move my column forward. My next two, they go one down from here. I'm going to pick up these two and drag them. Lay our bands. Drag this across. So have a look, pull your loom, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're first column, first layer, second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row. Then we look here, we started with 2 there, so this is 1, 2, 3. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's only got 1 more to go, so I'm going to drag it across. Nothing to do there. Drag that across to the right. And again, my trick is go down here, grab those 2 bands at the bottom, pull them up, and then drag them down. If you need to, just run your hook around the outside of that peg and it releases the pressure on the bands. Okay, as you can see, it's starting to happen. I told you this was a long project. Okay, so we want this band here is 5, so we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know, dude. So we have 2 more to do that are still angling down. So I'm going to put 1 set here, and then after this we have 1 more, and then we're straight for 25 again. Angle that one down. And move that across. So let's count. Did we just put extra ones on here? I can't remember. I've got a memory like a sieve, I have to tell you. Yes, baggy boodles. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're ready for new ones. And 5. I'm just going to stretch this one across. Dig down, grab the 2, pull it up and then down, push that down. We have 1 more angled to do and then we're on the home stretch. Move that forward, move the pegs forward. Now we do still need to put 2 here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead of this coming down, this will be going across like that. Grab those two, and they do come down for the last time. Let's lay our bands. And that is the last band of my pack of 600. There we go, pop that there. We've got new ones here, so drag across. Again, I'm just dragging that one across. Dig down, find the two bottom bands, pull up, and then loop them. And don't worry too much if it looks like it's not even. Once we actually take it completely off the loom, we get to stretch it out a little bit, and that will look better. I'm going to open my next packet and just do one more for the night before I get told off by my cat. Move my base plates, move my column of pegs. Take two for my lead. We start here. Remember, we're going here because it's just going to get pulled across like that. No stretching. Okay. Lay our bands. One for our lead at the bottom, drag across. Where are we at here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, and we don't need to do one here because we have these. Let's loop this up. Dig down, find those two, pull up and across, and now we take this off. Now I am going to pause my video and I'm going to bed, and I'm going to pick this up in the morning. The reason I wanted to pause here was because these were all stretched and I didn't want them to get overstretched overnight, and for it to look, you know, funky and wonky and whatnot. So that's the reason that I needed to get that little bit finished. I will make the apologies to the cat. But here we are. If you're still going, which you probably are because you are doing it, it's a completely different time of day to me probably, all we do now is another, this is column 1, this is 2, so we need to do 23 more of these. Okay, moving them forward, and all you're doing is pulling this forward. Okay, so 23 more of these and we will catch up again later. So I'm going to move my base plate, whoops, after I finish throwing my hook around everywhere. Move my big base plate forward, move my column of pegs forward, make sure it lines up. And if you remember, this was our first one, this here was the first one that was straight. Okay, and it doesn't really matter if you're 1 column or 2 columns over or under. I think it's better to be over than under. So we will count this as our first one, and this is our second one, and we're doing 25 columns if you remember. So take 2 for your lead to put here, grab the lead that were the old bands there doing nothing and pop those there, and I'm going to start a new little tally on my piece of paper up here to count out 25. I did 25, you might do 30, you might do 35, depends on how big of a head the person you're making it for has. I'm making mine for a 6-year-old, and as I said, it stretches quite well, but you don't want it stretched so far that you can see all the crossover bands. So better bigger than smaller, and it also, I guess, depends on how many bands you can afford to use on something like this. Put a single here, and move this single across. Let's count where we're at for our crossover bands. Remember, if you stretch this out, you can see where you have 2 of them on at the same time. So I've got 2 here, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need new bands for my crossovers. Let's take a single of your clear and stretch those across. Like that, and we can start looping. You do this little one on the bottom first and loop that to the right, and then loop the 2 bottom and then dig down and find those 2 bottom ones here. I tend to pull them up and then loop them to the side. I feel it just makes it happen a little easier. Take this one off our loom. So that was 3. Okay, let's move our base plates. Now, I'm not going to do all 25 columns with you. We would be having a tutorial that was extremely long and boring. So I'll do a couple just to get you into the flow, and then you will finish off. So take another 2 as your lead to put here. Grab these 2, place them there, and then we lay our bands, and this is column number 4. Don't forget to jot that down somewhere so you know where you're at. Here's a lead. Take that one, place it here, drag your crossover bands over, and loop this one to the right, and loop up. Alright, I'm going to meet you back when you have completed how many you want to do. Like I said, I'm doing 25. Some of you might be doing more, some of you might be doing less. But I will, if you pause your video, I will continue doing mine and you continue doing yours, and we'll meet up in the middle. So, as you can see, I'm now at the end. I've done all of this, okay, and you will have 2, and I have 1 crossover band on each of these, which has just gone between 1 and 2 pegs. These 2 pegs, it's going to get stretched across to 3, but it won't go across 4 because we don't need another column, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. Now, we're not going to put, I'm on row 25, this is 24, this is going to be 25. I don't need to put some lead bands here because I'm not going to be moving it forward to another column. So I'm just going to take these 2 and place them on this peg. I'm going to lay my bands, oops, like this. Likewise with this one, I don't need another lead, I'm just going to place that across there. I'm going to drag this crossover band on each column over like that. I'm going to dig down and link this in here and loop up this middle column. I'm going to dig down and find the 2 bands, pull them up and then across. Now, before I loop up this column or take this off, what I want to do is I want to attach these to here. Okay, now it really doesn't matter which is your front and which is your back. They look pretty similar. I'm probably going to go with this being my front. So with that being said, if I grab the I'm doing it the wrong way, sorry, I will do it this way. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is turn this over like that so that this is the front and I have it underneath my loom. What I'm going to do is dig my hook in where I have these loops. There's 1 set here, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then there's the end cap. So this pair here is going to go on the top one. Okay, this next pair, and I'm just going for the 2 top. Okay, I'm leaving the other 2 at the bottom. I'm going for these 2 top and attaching them onto the peg. Alright, and dig down like that so that I have that on this one, and I'm about to loop this one up. So I'm going to dig down, and at the bottom here is where I have the bands that are laid. Can you see? So we've got a layer. These are the bands I'm going to be looking for to loop. So I'm going to dig down, I'm going to find those bottom 2 bands and loop up. Now there's quite a few bands on the peg, so be careful. You're just going for the bottom 2. If you can push things down to make life easier for yourself, go for it. Okay, bottom 2. Then I'm going to come back to here. I have to pass through all those other bands and grab these bottom 2 that are here. Alright, drag them across, and this is where we're going to tie off. So take 2 yellow bands, I'm going to push my hook all the way through all those bands, there's quite a few, put those 2 bands on the end of my hook, and I'm going to drag them back up through the middle of that peg and to the outside of the peg. Take the 2 closest to me up, over and off, and pull tight. Now we can take this off the loom. Now this is how you make this is the standard ye old base headband, and what we're going to do is add the star after the fact. You can do all sorts of different pretty beads and stuff like that, and I'm going to show you how to add those on a different tutorial, but the biggest thing that I wanted to do today was just actually show you how to actually do the headband itself. And you can see we only went through 3 columns here, so this one is a little bit slacker, but it's at the back, so I don't think it's going to matter. I wanted you to know how to make the headband itself, and then we will do separate tutorials where I'm not going to go through the making of the 25 each side. We will just concentrate on the front panel and how you can add beads to it. I can talk to you about how you can add wording. You could have princess or hero or something like that on the front here. So they will be separate tutorials, but if you haven't done the move it forward and know how to make the headband part of it, then you'll have to watch this one just to get a grip on that. These 2 tie-off bands, I'm going to dig down inside the headband here and pull those bands back through like that. Okay, and one more time. Like that, and then when you pull it, it sort of just settles in like that. So that is how we do the headband. Now For the first one that I did for Wonder Woman, I made a sort of star, but it was the same way that I make flowers. And it's also how Made by Mummy does her flowers on the hook, which is a lovely little way. Wonder Woman doesn't really have a flower on the front of her head, she has more of a star, so I just did the little chains using double bands and 3 and made a little star like that. And I think that actually probably looks a little better, but it's up to you how you want to do that. I'm going to show you how to do this way. So I'm just going to adjust my loom so that it's back into its standard configuration. I'm going to use red bands. And all you're going to do is a pair, and a pair, and then a single band wrapped twice around your hook and popped on the end. You're going to do that 5 times. So here's number 2. And you're putting an end cap on each end of these. Like that, dig down past the end cap and loop up. Collect them up on the hook. Now you don't need to do those on your loom, you can do them on your hook if you're happy with doing that. I just did it on the loom because it was there. Let's take 2 red bands and we're going to stretch it out, keep it taut, slide all these little loops for these little chains on and reclaim the end of your band like that. Then take the 2 closest to you, up, over and off, and do a slip knot, and then to secure it we're going to splay that out and pop the closest little chain through it and let go and move that down to the bottom like that, and that's going to be our little star. Okay. Now, how we attach that, what we're going to do, I'm going to use yellow bands. I'm going to put my hook through the end cap of each of these, go through like this, reclaim and do a slip knot. The reason I'm doing yellow is so that at the back of the headband you cannot see it as obviously. So we have our little slip knots all the way around. You're going to point the top one at the center here like that, and then it comes out like a little figure. So this is the head, the arms and the legs. Think of it like that. Position it where you want it to be, hold it with your thumb, push your hook through the back and you want to be about the second pair down here, and push your hook through, grab the yellow tie-off band and pull it through like that, so it's at the back here. Okay, we're going to do that with all of them, and you have to approximate where is a good spot for the hook to go through. For me, I'm going to go through the middle here, grab that and pull it through. I'm going to do the same the other side, go through the middle here, grab my band and pull it through, oh come on, pull it through, and I'll do this one here, and pull it through. So if you like how that is positioned, turn it over. You should have these 5 little loops at the back here. Take another single and you're going to slide it through the top loop and do a slip knot like so, so that that one's tight. Okay, take your hook out, go through the next one, push your hook through, and so you have the one that's tied on here, the one that's here, you're going to slip over and off. Take it off, go through again, the next one, up and over, and you're basically just collecting all of these up onto that extra band that we did. So can you see how they're all here, just like that? Now at this stage, at the top here, is where you want to reattach it. Now you can use a clip. I personally don't want to use a clip because I feel that then that could, you know, be pushing on the child's forehead or something like that. So what I'm going to do is just go through a couple of the bands here like that, and I'm sorry, I did it the wrong way around. Go through the couple of bands first and then through your loop. Pull that back through. I'm now going to tie a knot. So I'm going back under there, grab my knot, and what I need to do is pull half of it through and tie it any way you can. You know me, I'm useless at knots, but I'm tying a little knot there. If you don't want to do a knot, use a clip. Alright, so I've tied a little knot, and there is my Wonder Woman hat. Hope you enjoy making it.